consent agenda? Motion by Dr. Robinson, seconded by Ms. Ayala. Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. That takes us to new business. COM 1, Mr. Superintendent.
Mr. Chairman, COM1, I recommend the board proclaim March 15th through 19th, 2021 as Government Finance Professionals Week.
We have a motion. Motion by Dr. Robinson, seconded by Mrs. Andrews. I understand, Mrs. Whitfield, you'd like to read that?
Yeah, sorry, I was caught off guard with it coming up so fast. All right, so first of all, I wanted to say before I went into reading this, I just wanted to say a huge thank you to our government finance professionals that we have, Mike Burke and his whole office. They do such an amazing job for us. We're so privileged to have them. So I just want to say a huge thank you as I read this to them. Proclamation, Government Finance Professionals Week, March 15th through the 19th, 2021. Whereas the Florida Government Finance Officers Association, FGFOA, is a professional association founded in 1937 and serves more than 3,300 professionals from state, county, and city governments, school districts, colleges and universities, special districts, and private firms. And whereas the FGFOA is dedicated to being a professional resource by providing opportunities through education, networking, leadership, and information. And whereas Government Finance Professionals Week, sponsored by the FGFOA and all of its member governmental organizations, is a week-long series of activities aimed at recognizing government finance professionals and the vital services that they provide to our state and our community. And whereas during this week, government finance professionals through the state of Florida will be acknowledged for their hard work, dedication, and leadership. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the superintendent and the school board of Palm Beach County do hereby proclaim March 15th through the 19th, 2021 as Government Finance Professionals Week and extend our appreciation to all government finance professionals throughout the state and here in Palm Beach County for their hard work, dedication, and leadership done on this 24th day of March, 2021 in West Palm Beach, Florida. Thank you so much for the opportunity to read that.
Thank you, Ms. Whitfield. Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. But before we move on, I do want to take an opportunity again to thank Mr. Burke for the outstanding job. I can't even imagine how you balance a $3.5 billion budget. I mean, I would have nightmares trying to figure out where's things are out of whack. So you just do an amazing job. So thank you to you.
We have a great team. There's a whole division, and that's how it's possible. And we use a great big computer as well.
Yeah. Maybe you should take that big computer to Washington, D.C. I think they could use the help budgeting, doing some of that, staying within the budget up there, too. Maybe they could use your help.
Thank you.
But thank you for the job you do for us. Yes, Mrs. Andrews.
I have to chime in and say that when we think about the Council of Great City Schools, the 77 largest school districts in the country, they have selected Mr. Burke to lead the financial piece of the puzzle as we look at this $1.9 trillion and all of this money coming to the schools. But all across the country, he is leading the finance piece for the 77 largest school districts: New York, LA, Chicago, Philadelphia, all of the biggies. He's the man right here in Palm Beach County, so I'm just pleased to know him.
I don't remember if we voted on that. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Next item, Mr. Superintendent, is P3.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. I recommend the board approve Personnel Addendum as submitted.
Motion by Dr. Robbins, second by Mrs. Andrews. Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. That'll take us to non-agenda speakers. The non-agenda speakers, yes, Ms. Bass, is that word, non-agenda speakers?
Carl Muhammad, non-agenda speaker. As we are beginning to close out as a result of the hectic year that we've had as an educational experience for all children, but in the ADOS community, those of us who are the children of the slaves, we are closing out on another year of knowing but not investing in what we know. And I'm talking about the entire school superintendent, school board members, and others that understand that Florida Statute 1003.428 is very much important, but we've been having the same ending of the year for over 20-something years, over 28 years. And we are trying to resolve this problem, and we are trying to really do some focusing. So we're preparing for May the 22nd. That's on a Saturday from 9:30 to 10:30 to try to give some clear instructions to our community as a result of the pandemic and the response from our community to our community as it relates to the educational experience of our children during the COVID-19 experience. And we're asking for your participation. We'll be reaching out to you further so that we can get some kind of clear understanding of what exactly is going on with those of us who have been suffering inside of your educational process. And we're hoping that you would feel the need to assist us in trying to do something more. And on the board, where the agenda item DD1, I want to say to whoever authored that change or that thought as it relates to the Sheriff Department, please read the book called The New Jim Crow. It's about mass incarceration and in this age of color blindness. It's by Michelle Alexander, and I think it would help whoever that person was to better understand why the school district police department that we already presently have is such a jewel that we just don't understand. That we should have been adding more resources to that reality, as opposed to having some kind of expectation of reaching out to others who are not knowledgeable about what goes on inside of a school system. So whoever authored that kind of thinking, the book is called The New Jim Crow, and it's about mass incarceration in the age of color blindness, and it's by Michelle Alexander. And everybody, I'll be contacting you later on in the future with hopes that you might be able to give us any kind of supportive or contributing information that you have as it relates to assisting the African American community in moving forward. And I pray that you'll stay safe. Stay safe.
We have one non-agenda speaker that's here tonight. Before we get on with the rest of the recorded speakers, Robert Adolph, if you're here, would you come up to the podium? Okay, Mr. Adolph is not here. Okay, IT, would you run the other four, please?
Yes, my name is Shay DeCepolo, and I am a Palm Beach County parent speaking about a non-agenda item specifically relating to next school year and simultaneous teaching between brick and mortar and virtual students. I know this is not on the agenda, but I wanted to voice my concern about parents having no direction about what will be happening next year, because we have found that the simultaneous teaching between our teachers having to handle both brick and mortar and virtual students is really taking away from the education of both parties. I have two students, one in gifted and AMP, and another who was in kindergarten at the beginning of all of this pandemic and is now in first grade, who is now suffering with reading deficiencies. And I firmly believe my gifted child is also struggling with anger and emotional issues over all of this stuff. So it might sound a bit coy to talk about it in those regards, but I really believe our children deserve to have the undivided attention in school, regardless of whether or not they elect to do it in person or on virtual. So my request would be that the board consider, if we are going to allow virtual next year, that teachers be assigned specifically to virtual students and teachers be assigned specifically to brick and mortar students, so that each of these groups of children can get the undivided attention that they deserve in our schools. And it would be great to know what the board plans to do so that parents who have to make decisions about next year can proceed with doing so with enough ample time to make adequate choices for their families. Thank you so much for your time, and I really hope that you'll consider this. Bye-bye.
Hello, my name is Melina Amit. I thank you for allowing this opportunity for us to voice our opinions and concerns on some topics. I have two concerns that I would like to address. Both are non-agenda topic items. I have 2 children in the district, one in middle school and one in elementary school. So this first comment is actually to both, as they've both expressed a concern with the simultaneous teaching. The feedback I've received from my children is that the simultaneous teaching in class is very distracting. Many of the teachers focus on the kids in the chats and virtual, not doting enough attention to many of the students who are attending classes in person. This really needs to stop. You know, the purpose of educational platforms such as Florida Virtual School is exactly this, so that people who, for whatever reason, don't feel comfortable sending their children to brick and mortar locations can attend virtually, and their children will get the proper attention. But at the same time, for those of us who wish to send our children to brick and mortar schools, we will know that the teacher's focus is only on those students sitting before their teachers. The second comment that I have is on the return of middle school sports. My son plays travel basketball right now in his middle school because there is no sport option for him in basketball. And I don't understand why high school sports can return. The high school boys who are in his travel league did have a season, but my son did not have a season. All the while there's travel basketball in South Florida, and they're having games in various schools, on the private sector end. So I don't see why we can't make this a priority for our kids. Our kids need a way to be stimulated, to have sports, to have positive outlets after school. Thank you very much for your time.
Hi, my name is Shannon Praytel. I have 2 sons in the Palm Beach County School District. They're in elementary school. I am speaking on a non-agenda topic. I would like to voice my concern over simultaneous teaching. I would like to end this next year. I voice my concern and object teacher teaching in class and virtual students at the same time. And I also would like the children to return to the playground. Right now they are just sitting down outside at recess, not doing anything. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
My name is Maureen Alvarez. I'm calling on a non-agenda topic. Simultaneous teaching is not optimal. Those are not my words. That is a direct quote from Mr. Oswald, as relayed by the Palm Beach Post in an article in February. That quote should not come as a surprise to any of you, because even at the time that you decided to implement simultaneous teaching, you knew it was not optimal, it was ineffective, and it would be a failure. The focus of the district seems to be that distance learners are falling behind, but because of simultaneous teaching, brick and mortar students are also falling behind. Teachers are not able to provide the same level of curriculum or amount of curriculum that they would otherwise if they weren't teaching 2 classes. But there's another problem. The district is providing distance learning within the school building. Every one of you knows that you assured the Florida Department of Education that brick and mortar students would receive in-person, live face-to-face instruction, but that's not what is happening. Interestingly, it's happening less in the elementary schools, but somehow it seems to be happening more in the middle schools, and then even at a greater, even more in high schools. That can't be a coincidence, that there aren't as many elementary school teachers that ask for accommodations and or that accommodations were provided or not provided as compared to high school and middle school. Nonetheless, the district assured DOE that live instruction would be provided in the school building. The only options provided to parents were brick and mortar, live instruction as the first choice, The second choice was distance learning, and the third choice was Palm Beach virtual. Every single day, hundreds of children in Palm Beach County are being sent to overflow rooms, gymnasiums, auditoriums, or libraries with children that are not their age, not in their class, to try to learn from a teacher who is not in the school building. This is completely unacceptable, and it is a complete and direct violation of what was listed in your initial educational plan and your spring educational plan. I'll close with a comment from a parent. Quote, "My child is at Bach. The teacher is out for the year. My child has been sitting in where she can barely hear. I asked very early to switch to an in-person teacher and was told it wasn't an option at the time. It's a mess."
Okay, I think that's the end of our recorded speakers. We're in board discussion items, BD2.